Hi. Yesterday I wrote a blog post on my business blog where I talked about 5 things that true leaders do that managers don't always do. And the first point I talked about said that leaders listen. And I talked about how, leaders let people talk to them and they really listen to them and they try to act on it. And I alluded to a fact that sometimes what you're listening to isn't exactly what you're listening to. And I didn't explain it in the blog post, and I figured that I would explain it here. Many years ago, I was basically the assistant supervisor of outpatient billing and emergency room admissions at a local hospital. So I had a lot of people. It was basically everyone reported to me, and then I reported to the supervisor. So I had a lot of people who, reported to me. And the supervisor at the time was not necessarily a people person. That's just the nicest thing. Now, many years later, we actually worked together in a different organization where I was the president and she was one of the board members, and it worked out pretty nicely. But at the time, she really was not a people person. And she could take out her wrath on people, and to me, it was embarrassing. It's always embarrassing when you embarrass somebody else in front of other people. And then you just act like it means nothing. Now, in your personal life, if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you're in a leadership position, you should never do that to people. And there was this open office, and in the billing area, there were 11 or 12 people. So if someone got kind of beat down or talked down to, there were a whole lot of people around. You never go out of your way to embarrass somebody. I don't care what it is. Anyway, I would be the one, when she was gone, who would hear all the complaints from everybody. They would just gripe, and they would be depressed, and they'd be upset. And so I would listen to all this, and one day I decided it was time to act upon that. So what I did is I asked the supervisor for a meeting and brought everybody into the room so that we could have a sit-down conversation. And you know what happened? Nobody but me said anything. They just didn't say a word. They all froze. And basically I was left hanging, and I was irked because here I am listening to what they had to say and then trying to act on it. And it taught me a very interesting lesson at that time, which was that when you're listening to someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that they want you to act on it. Sometimes all they really want you to do is empathize with them because they're not ready to take a step on their own. And I thought that was a very interesting lesson to learn. I didn't like learning that particular lesson, but it was important because I wasn't high enough on the chain so that they could feel secure enough to go into this meeting with me. I've always been one of these people who I have my 3 main morality points: loyalty, trustworthiness, and honesty, in that order. And so my loyalty to the people who were reporting to me was, okay, we're going to stand up to the supervisor. However, I was listening to what they were saying, but I wasn't listening to the under part, where they were just, they just wanted to get it out because they had to get it out. None of them really had the confidence to say anything in that meeting with me. And so I was left hanging. Now, years later, when I was in a director position, things changed up because people could complain to me about stuff, but now I knew, okay, I don't need to take them in with me. I can go to someone else because now I'm at a higher position of authority and I can handle that on my own. And I also learned at that time, of course, that I was never going to treat anyone like that. I was never going to embarrass anybody in front of a whole lot of other people. It was just not going to happen. So when you're going to listen to people, you actually have to interpret at the same time. Now, the best way to do that, of course, is to repeat back what they said. That shows an understanding, but you sometimes have to add, do you want me to say something to someone? And that is a way to get you off the hook because now you know whether you should take an action or not. And a lot of times people are going to say, oh no, don't say anything. And now you change the conversation because if people are griping about it, it now gives you an opportunity to help them to learn how to get over it. But you can still take something in with you and take it to someone later on, and don't use their name. As a matter of fact, you can couch it in a story. I've done that. But you want to try to minimize whatever stress people who are working for you are having. That's just an interesting leadership lesson I'm giving you today. So it's not just listening and just, acting on what someone specifically says. It's probing and asking that next question. There's more about communication than actual listening. And I probably should have said leaders communicate, but truthfully, not all good leaders communicate. They just don't. Sometimes they, may put something out there and then they let people pretty much do the best that they can, and they may try to correct them later on. And some places thrive like that. Some people in today's world thrive on that. That was never really my way. Okay, maybe it was. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes that was my way. But, there you go. But we'll talk about that part another time. Anyway, let me know what you think about listening to employees or listening to what other people have to say, and whether you act on it or whether you take it into, your consciousness and figure out if there's something to do. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk next time.